Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and today I'm doing a discussion over one of the newest heroes at this point in time for Marvel Champions, which is Psylocke. Psylocke. Stay. Yeah, so they have been basically, Fantasy Flight has been releasing hero packs basically in pairs, I'm guessing due to some lore reason, because I think Psylocke and Angel are an item in some comic book form. I am not familiar with really any comics, but we're going to go ahead and talk about what Psylocke brings to the table. And I gotta say, she's pretty nifty. She's not, like, insane, you know, as some of the other kind of, like, fighters out there that I've, you know, really loved, like things like Gamora or Scarlet Witch or things like that that are just super fun. But she's extremely solid and still unique. Fantasy Flight seems to have slowed down on releasing packs, and I think it's actually smart. It gives them time to kind of adjust and make characters feel different from everyone else, and so far so good. Psylocke is no exception here. She definitely does stuff that is different from any of the other characters, and we're going to go ahead and talk about it. So, starting off with Betsy Braddock, her stats are she has 3 recovery, which seems to be kind of the standard, 6 hand size, 10 hit points, and she has a setup where she starts with 2 Psy Knives in play. The second one's right here, but I'm going to show you just one. This is like the crux of kind of her character, and not that they inherently do anything by themselves. They do. They have stuff for them, but like the cards that you play from her deck depend on the state of her Psy Knives, because they can be Psy Knives or they can be Psy Katanas. And they are permanent and restricted whenever they go to the katana side. So if you want to wield dual katanas, that's going to be your only 2 restricted cards out there. Anyway, she has Psionic Manifestation, which is having the 2 Psi energy upgrades. And as an action, you can exhaust a Psi energy upgrade to shuffle 1 psionic card from your discard pile into your deck. A few characters have stuff like that, where you can shuffle stuff back into your discard pile, and I usually never done it, but with her, for some reason, I did. And I think a lot of it was mainly every time I play her, I do kind of pop back to her alter ego form more than I usually do, mainly because she only has 10 health, and because of what you'll see in a sec with her hero side. So let's go ahead and jump into that. So there is Psylocke, super sexy. So I mean, what more do you need? 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 defense, and you might see asterisks. That's because there's an ability which is her Psi energy control. It's whenever you use one of her her basic power, attack, defense, or thwart, you flip 1 Psi energy upgrade. So that's how you can do it. Without actually using the card. And that's when you use it. And that's important because in the Psi Knife side, she has +1 thwart. So if you have both of them out, which you would from setup, if you have both of them out, then then now she has 3 thwart. And then if you have both of them in katana form, then it gives her +1 attack, and her basic attack gains piercing, which is also important for some cards I'll show you. But yeah, so you can have both of those out, and now her attack is 3, which is pretty cool. But you can very much mix and match and give her 2, 2, and 2. So pretty good, just standard numbers there. But that's how you can flip them, and then also the Psi Katanas. And the Psi Knives, like the Psi Knives have the, I'm just going to leave both of them out. The Psi Knives is you can exhaust it to generate a science resource, and then you may flip this card, and the Psi Katana has the same thing, except it generates a strength resource, and you may flip this card. So, like I said, her big thing is directed around her, her status of the katanas, and one of her major attacks is the Flurry of Blades. And the Flurry of Blades says deal 2 damage to an enemy. Okay. For each Psi Knife you control, choose an enemy and confuse it. So if you only have 1 Psi Knife, you only get to confuse 1 enemy. If you have both, you can confuse 2 enemies. And then for each Psi Katana you control, you choose an enemy and deal 2 damage to it. So again, Psi Katana does an extra 2 damage, or If you have both of them, then it would be an additional 4 damage, but it's not 4 damage all at once. You can choose different enemies. So that's pretty cool. Like, that's thematically awesome, just using katanas and knives and, like, swapping them out energetically. The other thing that's really important is, like, this is actually just a basic card, but it kind of ties into why the basic attack gains piercing, and her Psy energy control is directed force. When your hero makes an attack that has a keyword, overkill, piercing, or range, that attack deals 2 additional damage. This is really good because it's free. So whenever you attack with her, giving her, in this case, a 3 attack, her basic attack now gains piercing. So whenever you just tap her to attack with her regular attack, which you almost never do unless you have nothing else to do, you can turn that 3 attack with piercing into a 5 attack with piercing for free, which is really, really good. Her other big thing is she is huge on confusing enemies, which I can't think of any other hero that is real big on confusing. Not that they can't do it, but her huge thing is she has a lot of cards that mainly come from, like, her justice cards that are, like, when you do an attack against a confused enemy. When you do this against a confused enemy. Like, so, where are they? There is... Damn it. I just had him. Yeah, right there. So there are 2 cards just in the Justice that is actually an event. So after your hero makes a basic attack and damages an enemy, confuse that enemy. If that enemy is already confused, stun it instead. So just for the cost of 1, which you do generate resources, just free resources, which is always very nice. If you do the Flurry of Blades and you confuse an enemy just for having a Psy knife out, then you can use Upside the Head and be like, oh, you're already confused? Well, now you're stunned. So you're not attacking and you're not scheming on your turn. That is very, very nice when your opponent or the villain basically misses an entire turn. And then an ally you can get out, which is a cheap ally, which is very nice, is Cypher. After Cypher attacks and damages a confused enemy, draw 1 card. So things like that, and wanting to make sure that the villain is always confused, or just a minion is always confused, so that he could just pop in, attack for 1, and then you get to draw a card. Some of her other cards, there is Mental Detection is Thwart. Remove 1 threat from a scheme for each Psy knife you control. Remove 2 additional threat from that scheme. For each Psy katana you control, draw a card. I found when I'm playing her, it was almost always better to just kind of split the difference and have 1 of each. But you don't have to. Like, if you don't really care about removing additional threat because that's being taken care of by someone else, then just stay in your Psy katanas, play that card. You still get to remove at least 1 threat, and then draw 2 cards. And the draw 2 engine, that basically makes this card free. There is... This one was very nice. There are not a lot of heroes with just innate, like, interrupts, and she doesn't have, like, a million of them, but she does have some. Psionic Redirect is when you would take any amount of damage from an enemy attack, prevent 2 of that damage. For each Psy katana you control, prevent 2 additional damage. For each Psy knife you control, confuse that enemy. So as you can see why I want to keep both of those in 1 and 1, just because it's like, alright, well, this attack that costs 2 is preventing 4 damage, as well as confusing them. But again, if you just have a bunch of minions out, then you just want to confuse them all, you can make that decision. Or if you want to, because you could also, let's say you're being attacked by a huge attack. Some villain has 4 attack. They have their upgrades, some sword and the strength stone or whatever, and then their boost card is +4. So their attack is coming at you with 8. Okay, well, you can defend with 2 just from her. And because you did that, you can flip a card, and because that's her innate ability, so now you have 2 Psy katanas out, then you play Psionic Redirect, so you're preventing 2, 4, 6, you're preventing 8 damage, because it's for each Psy katana you have. So she's very fluid. Like, she's able to just kind of be like, okay, do I want to do more damage right now? Do I want to kind of, what cards do I have? What's going to give me the best, ability or the best effect just from what I currently have. I mean, just straight up upgrades that she has is weapons training. Just gives her a retaliate 1, which is really cool. So just having retaliate and the ability to defend. And after Psylocke attacks, discard weapons training, and you get to ready each weapon upgrade you control, which would be obviously her Psy energy weapons. But that's also cool because it just costs 2, gives you retaliate, but then you can use them for their resources, and then just pop them back ready again for those resources later. There is martial arts training, which just gives her +1 defense, and after she defends against an attack, you can discard it to ready her again, which is very nice because defending is always difficult because then you're basically exhausted for the next round. Let's see. Flurry of Blades is basically her like one big attack. She is kind of she's definitely more support, I feel. She's not going to be kind of your character that's going to be like the frontline person. Not that she doesn't do damage, but she doesn't really stack up a bunch of damage, nor does she stack up a bunch of threat removal or card removal or anything like that. But she does have other ways, like telepathic suggestion, which is an interrupt. When you reveal a card from your encounter deck, cancel its when revealed effect. For each Psy Katana you control, choose an enemy and deal 2 damage to it. For each Psy Knife you control, choose a scheme and remove 1 threat from it. You can probably sense a theme here where it's like for each one you control, something happens, hence why I like to keep both of them, have one in the katana form and one in the knife form, just so I get the full effect of the card. But having an interrupt to what the encounter deck does is also very helpful because some of those when revealed effects can be extremely gnarly. Let's see. Yeah, just psionic training, a lot of training cards that are cheap. She ignores the guard and patrol keyword, which is really good because those are minions that just kind of get in your way. You can bypass that. And after she thwarts, you can discard it to confuse an enemy, as she is wont to do. She has one of the basics, which is Power of the Mind, so she also doesn't have any strength, genius, and whatever they're called, energy cards. Power of the Mind is it doubles the number of resources that generates. 4 peg for a psionic card. Let's see. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much. I mean, she also has her. This was something that was introduced in the Angel deck as well. That's new to this kind of these cycles, I guess. Probably going forward. She, is the player side scheme. So, which is just like a regular side scheme, except players benefit from doing them. And this is Lay the Trap. When defeated, so it has 3 per player on it. When defeated, the player who defeats this scheme deals 5 damage to the villain, and that's 5 damage per player. So if you're playing a 4-player game, that would be 20 damage just for finishing that. I really like the additions of the player side schemes. I think that's kind of something that almost seems like it was obvious to include, but better late than never. That's pretty much it in terms of like her special cards. Like I should even shown some of her justice cards. So I mean, like I was saying, she's not like amazing at one thing, but she's really good at a lot of stuff. And I also mentioned like the reason why I was swapping back to her alter ego form a lot more. It's because when she's in hero form, her hand size is 4, which is very low. That's basically guaranteed 1 card to play. Now these help. The energies for them help a lot because if you get low cost cards, then you can still play them just for using those, and then maybe use the cards in your hand for a more expensive card in your hand or whatever you want to do. But that's kind of the reason why I kept swapping back and forth. So overall, let's go ahead and see how much damage I can rack up with her. Let's say she has 6 cards in her hand. Let's say Cypher is out. And he's already attacked, so I have 7 cards. Let's see. We'll do Flurry of Blades. Power of the Mind, that's 2. Let's also say that her martial arts training card is in. That's only whenever she defends, actually. Let's do then weapons training. I can probably directed force. That is Flurry of Blades. It's not. Oh, can I get 3 Flurry of Blades off? No, definitely not. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think that might be it. Because she doesn't do a whole lot of stuff like on her turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sure, just a burn card right now. Okay, so let's see. If we did a Power of the Mind with a Psy Katana, we could then do a Flurry of Blades, which would be 2 damage. So we'll count the Cypher's attack for 1. So 1, 2, 3. Then for each Psy Katana you control, choose an enemy, deal 2 damage to it. So I control, so that's 4. So it's going to be 7 damage. 7 damage, and then we can, because it has piercing... No, that doesn't. So it's 7 damage. We could do that again with the Power of the Mind and the Katana to do another Flurry of Blades. Ooh, actually, I think I can get another Flurry of Blades off. She has 3 in here. Let's see. So that would be 14 damage. Because that would be... So 7, 8, 9... No, 13. Sorry, 13 damage. Yes. So 13 damage. And then we will attack with her. 13, 14, 15, 16. And against piercing, which you could use the directed force now to add 2. So that was 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, because that's piercing, and this adds 2 additional ones. And since she attacked, discard the weapons training to ready each weapon upgrade. Yeah, so we're at 16 damage. Can't ready her again. Yeah, actually, 16. A third Power of the Mind with the Katana and another Flurry Blades. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 damage with another... Yeah, that's... What could be pretty neat is you could theoretically play cards also, if you have Lay the Trap out, that help you like remove threats. So if you were able to also pop this off, you would deal more damage depending on the number of players. But I don't see. I guess theoretically, if the person was confused for Cypher's attack, you could also use one of these to play upside the head when she did her basic attack to also stun it. So 22 damage with a confused and stunned villain is pretty good. And yeah, I mean, I think she was actually able to output more damage than Angel, but I think Angel has a little bit more going on, that trying to come up with the best possible hand for her felt a little bit easier than doing it for Angel. But yeah, I mean, she's good. She's good. Like, I don't have any issues with her at all. She has upgrades. She has some card draw. She has some threat removal. I like the use of her katanas. I think those are neat. To do 22 damage, you'd have to literally have, like, basically three Flurry Blades and 3 Power of the Minds. And And I mean, that's kind of it. So if you're looking for a lot of card combinations, you're not really going to get that from her. But I wouldn't be upset if I was to play a game and someone's like, I want to play Psylocke. I'd be like, all right. Unless maybe she's one of those that's kind of like, I feel like she would benefit really well from a deck build or a deck construction. Some of the characters are kind of like that. But straight out the box, she's pretty good. I'm going to give her Psylocke on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to give her... I think I'm sitting at a 7. Which isn't bad. I know a lot of people now think 7's like the new mid. But that's just not true. 5 is mid. That is literally a scale of 1 to 10. 5 is right in the middle. 7 is still good. Like, I'd play her. But I also she wouldn't be my first choice. Especially out of, like, the female fighters. I'd probably pick almost all of them over her. That may not entirely be true. But anyway, that's Psylocke, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think of her in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.